What you are about to hear is highly classified. Pay attention and listen at all times. And most importantly, remember, there's a saying that what's old is new again. But sometimes when you take something old and make it completely new, it kinda sucks. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering Zone 4. Welcome back to the Zone. I'm Brant Fowler.
And I'm not Gordon Demowski, and I'm not John Wilson, but I am the captain, Ron Fortier. And if you've just, sat up and take notice, Brant and I are holding the ship up this week, right, buddy?
That's right. Yeah, our comrades are missing in action this week. I don't have any clever, funny reasons why they're not here. They're just ahead.
It's illness. I mean,
yeah.
John's suffering from a really bad case of the flu.
Yeah.
Brant and I were just talking about it before going on the air. And Gordon had a big TARDIS event last weekend in Chicago.
He's still sick from last year?
Yeah. Well, hey, he did enough talking for a year, apparently, because he's suffering from laryngitis.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So, but Gordon did send us in a report from Chicago TARDIS, so we will read that later in the show.
All right. Hey, I got to tell you, laryngitis and I are old friends.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, many's the convention I've done, Brant, when I've come home and had no voice at all.
Yeah.
And of course, which drives my wife crazy, and she's like, "Let other people talk. Let other people talk." but the worst, and this is gospel. This is a true story. The worst laryngitis I ever had in my life. And you want to talk about, God not having a sense of humor. When I turned 50, Valerie went all out to plan me a birthday party. And this is when we were still living back in New Hampshire, and literally invited. Literally dozens of. We ended up with 85 people at our house, okay, to celebrate my 50th birthday. I woke up that morning with laryngitis, and I could not talk. I was doing this. Okay, can you hear me? That kind of. It's like you're not supposed to talk when you've got it. You're supposed to rest it. All these people there to celebrate my birthday, friends, family, and I can't talk. I can't. When it came time to sit down and have the cake and open gifts, I had to recruit my sister-in-law Barbara to literally talk for me. I'd be like whispering in her ear, telling her. You ever watch Big Bang? I was like Rashish, whispering to Howard.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, so let me tell you, laryngitis and me are no strangers.
Yeah, our friend Chris, who comes on the show many times, he suffers from it a lot, but I think it's just because he yells a lot.
Oh, there you go, Chris. All right, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and it's this really, and it's one of those weird maladies where there is absolutely nothing you can do for it, except hydrate it and not talk until it heals itself. Because all laryngitis is just a strain on your voice box, nothing else.
Exactly. So. Hopefully, Gordon's in speaking shape next week.
Yeah, please. Okay. Hey, we got some plugs here. Why don't you take those?
We do. We should mention we are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. You can find us on comicspodcasts.com each and every week. And you can find a whole bunch of other shows, a plethora, if you will.
I like that word. That's nice.
It's a nice word. But comic podcasts, pop culture podcasts, all kinds of stuff. Anything you are interested in, I'm sure there's a podcast over there for your listening entertainment. So, there you go.
Oh, all right.
So
and this week, go ahead, Brant. Tell them about this week.
Yeah, this week's show is very singular focused. Singularly focused, I should say. Our topic is our headline, so that means it's topic time.
Topic time!
Be careful, you might get laryngitis.
Yeah.
Topic time! It's topic time, headline edition.
And look, for those of you diehard comic fans out there, please understand, okay? Every one of these is related to comics. We're not going to talk about any specific comic books.
Right.
But again, like Brand said, the overwhelming media news this past week was insane. We do have to cover it. So
yeah, there was just a ton of movie and television news that just came out, and there was very little comic book news that I found. So,
right.
We decided just to cover, the film and TV for this episode and get this out there because there's a lot to talk about. Some good, some bad, some indifferent. So let's
take it away, Brand.
Yeah. So the first news story we have is that Benedict Cumberbatch has been confirmed as Doctor Strange. What do you think about this?
I love it. Are you kidding? I mean, come on. He is clearly one of the finest actors working today. And in fact, I'll be stunned if he doesn't get a Best Actor nomination at the Academy Awards at the start of the year for his role in the Spy movie that's just going to be released, I think, around Christmas time. I don't know if you've seen anything about this, but he's already won several awards for it. It's a true story based on the British code breakers who had the German Enigma machine. And it's basically focuses on the real guy who broke that code and literally shortened the war and saved thousands of people's lives. It's a powerful film, and anybody can go online and go find the trailer for it. But by all means, I really think Cumberbatch is got a real shot at the Oscars. So here we go. Marvel's doing what it always does. It's going after accomplished, solid actors to play their characters. And come on, he's got the look. He's tall. He's angular. With just the right kind of makeup. I mean, I was thrilled when I saw this news this week.
Yeah, and he can so pull off like early Doctor Strange when he was cocky before he became the Sorcerer Supreme and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, he can totally pull that off, and he can pull off the other side of it too. It is perfect casting, I think. I'm very happy with it.
Did you happen to catch a picture of him and Robert Downey Jr. together?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they apparently, after the news was released, I don't know where, they happened to be at the same place. And so they took a selfie together or whatever, both giving a big thumbs up,
Nice.
So, hey, welcome Doctor Strange to the Marvel Universe. Yeehaw.
Very cool. Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, he's been in the news a lot. A lot of people were thinking that he was the voice on the Star Wars trailer, which I do want to get your opinion, but Andy Serkis has come out and said that it was him that was doing the voice. So, yeah, so we'll see what happens. I think a lot of people were expecting, hoping that he was going to be the Sith Lord in the new Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But
the trailer. The two trailers that came out the week before. Star Wars. Look, my way of thinking. I saw it. I watched it like anybody else, but it's too fast. There's way too many images as far as, that disjointed that don't mean anything. And, that's okay. I'm cool with it. It's a teaser anyways. That's all it's supposed to be.
Right.
But I'm not going to allow myself to get excited by that. I really want to wait till we see a full blown out trailer. So we get some idea of, what kind of a plot we've got, where we're at with all these characters' lives and whatever. And if you'll notice, Abrams very much stayed away from the regular characters that we all know and love.
Right.
So, again, it's what it is. It's a tease. But, you've seen people have been going nuts on the internet.
Yeah.
That drives me up.
I know. It's ridiculous. They've been breaking it apart and nitpicking it and this and that. And it's like you said, you can't get enough out of a teaser trailer to form an opinion, and that's what they're trying to do, and it's just...
it's very much the Pilgrims landing at Plymouth Rock, and then basically by looking at a few footprints going, ooh, there's a big continent up ahead.
Yeah, right.
I don't think so, okay? And neither do I think. We have no clue what this storyline is about, and if Abrams stays true to his past efforts, he's going to keep that totally under wraps. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do have to say I did get excited by it though.
Okay, me personally, who loves film music, the minute you hear John Williams is Star Wars thing,
right?
Yeah, the little kid in me just jumps right up and goes, Yahoo! That's awesome. Yep. Now the other trailer of a couple weeks ago that you wanted my thoughts on, and I got to tell you, this really caught me by surprise. I was the last person in the world who thought I'd get excited by another Jurassic Park movie.
Right.
But this trailer nailed me immediately because it's just so logical.
Yeah.
It totally works on the fact that when you see the trailer, there, all these cruise ships are going to the island, and they're opening the gate, and it looks like downtown Main Street in Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, oh my God! Of course, the idiots are opening up the park, and then of course it's having Chris Pratt as the lead, and who's the girl? Ronnie Howard's daughter.
Bryce Dallas.
Right. Okay. I mean, I would go see them just on a cooking show. I mean, I like them both.
Yeah.
And of course, Pratt's having the ride of his life now after Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So all of this, and then of course, right? I mean, you're mutating a new dinosaur. A friend of mine and I were convincing back and forth about this trailer, and I said my initial thought when I saw the trailer, right, that they're letting thousands of people on this island. Innocent men, women, children, old people on this island that has a history of destroying and eating people is the most abject stupidity in the world. Then I took a step back and I looked at the world around us today and went, yeah, I can buy that. Because there's a lot of stupidity in the world. And this to me seems like, it's corporate greed, okay? We don't care if people died. Come to the island, spend your bucks.
Yep, exactly. I don't know. It kind of took me by surprise too. I thought it was fantastic, and it like you said, it makes perfect sense. So
yeah, right. It follows along. That's what they would have just gone ahead with the doggone park. Yep. They've invested millions in it already. All right, so here we go. And like I said, with the cast that they have, that's another added bonus. So yeah, you know what? This comes out in the theaters. I am going to be in line to see it.
Yep. All right, and going back to Marvel casting, our next story. I know you're not big on the Netflix stuff. I know we covered that in a past episode. And I understand that, but this was interesting because they have cast Jessica Jones for the Marvel Netflix upcoming series, and it's Kristen Ritter.
Yep.
Who people may know from she was on Breaking Bad. She was on Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23.
Yeah, which lasted all of what, 3 episodes?
Yeah, it was very short.
Yeah, she's funny. She has a real cool wit about her.
Mm-hmm. She does. It's going to be interesting to see what she does with the character and what they do with Jessica Jones.
Well, I mean, aside from the Netflix thing aside, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm reading the press release, Brent, and I got to tell you, her casting didn't faze me, good or bad. What I really appreciated in reading the press release, though, was the mention of Mike Coulter playing Luke Cage.
See, I'm not familiar with him. I'm going to look him up while you're talking.
Well, he was on The Good Wife, which is my wife's all-time favorite television show these days. Okay. So I inadvertently caught in a few episodes, and he has a history of playing bad guys.
Ah.
Okay, and he's very good at it. And we saw him recently in something else, and my wife turned around and said, "Oh, that's Mike Coulter. He's on The Good Wife." And I went, "Really?" And she goes, "Oh, yeah." She goes, "He's really a good actor. He plays villains, but he's a good actor." And I like that kind of casting, Brant.
Yeah.
Okay, because now he's going against type, all right?
Right.
Plays, so obviously it tells me he has the gravitas to play Luke Cage.
Yeah.
And as he's Jessica's husband, according again to the press release, he's going to be in 7 of the 13 episodes we're going to see.
Oh, nice.
So,
very cool.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. He was on the Following, which I watched. Yep. I watched the maybe like 10 episodes of it, so I remember him now.
There you go.
Cool. Yeah, good choice. All right, so staying with the Marvel films here, Deadpool is they announced it was starting filming in March, and Ryan Reynolds is closing the deal. So I guess I think I saw something today that it was official, but
oh yeah, that's everything I've seen on the net. This is a done deal.
Yeah, so I mean, it's non-news at this point. It was just interesting to know when it's starting filming. So that's all.
Yeah, well, and I mean, look, okay, this is going to have a really selective audience.
True.
I mean, this is not one of my favorite comic book characters. All right, so I mean, I obviously if I catch this, it'll be maybe in 3 years on a late cable show one night, all right? And I'm suffering from insomnia because there is no way I am going to spend any bucks to go see a Deadpool. But he has a following, and we get that. He has a really devoted following. Now, I was intrigued by the press release, Brant, because having as yet still not seen X-Men Days of Future Past, all right, the press release made mention of Reynolds appearing as the character in the first Wolverine origin movie.
Yeah.
All right, but then said there was something that happened in Days of Future Past that conflicted with that.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm taking. Did they have another Deadpool or whatever?
do you want me to spoil it? Is it going to be a while?
Yeah, no. That won't. I will catch it. I mean, it's going to be one of those things where I'll eventually pick up a copy of it on Blu-ray. So no, you can, by all means. There was another Deadpool, in other words.
No, what it was is basically the end of Days of Future Past kind of rewrote history. The events that happened, because it involved Wolverine traveling back in time. Obviously,
right. Yeah.
Given the time.
Well, I know the graphic novel.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, it changed everything, and it kind of did away with some of the bad, crappy stuff that happened in Origins and X-Men 3. So they so they fixed things.
Okay. Well, so that's where the press release says they're actually going to be ignoring the first Wolverine movie.
Yeah, because basically the parts of that movie didn't happen. Right.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Hey, you know what? Hey, what the heck? Like I said, you and I both have some good friends who love this character. So I hope it's a really good movie. I hope it's a lot of fun for them.
Yeah, me too. And I will say this, a couple of my friends have been telling me that currently the Deadpool comic is actually really good. Because I know for a while it had gotten just really stale. So.
Oh my God! It was like a Goofy cartoon from Disney or something, you know. So hey, well, like I said, hey, if it entertains people and makes them laugh, more power to them.
Exactly. All right, staying on this Marvel wave
and talking about laughing and stuff.
The official synopsis for the Fantastic Four reboot has been released, and I'm going to read this real quick, and then I want to get your reaction to this. And I know you and I, before I even get into this, I know you and I, when they first announced this film, we were not enthusiastic, but we were, what's the word? Hopeful. Yeah, because, we both liked...
the director and what he'd done.
Right, we both liked Chronicle, and Michael B. Jordan was in Chronicle, and he's in this, so... Yeah. But as updates kept coming, it kind of got less and less hopeful. But, okay, here's the synopsis. The Fantastic Four, a contemporary reimagining of Marvel's original and longest-running superhero team, centers on four young outsiders who teleport to an alternate and dangerous universe which alters their physical form in shocking ways. Their lives irrevocably upended, the team must learn to harness their daunting new abilities and work together to save Earth from a former friend-turned-enemy. All right. So what's your reaction to hearing that?
Honest to God, Brant, it's like getting news releases about a train wreck about to happen.
Right.
The train's getting closer and closer to the other train. We'll get back to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, next update, now they're about a mile apart. It's everything wrong with Hollywood and what they do with films. And it really shocks me that in this post-Marvel studio age that we live in, where we have a studio that gets it right and makes billions of dollars, we still have these morons out there who think they know better. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, it's not the Fantastic Four. Right. It's not. It's not the comic book. And boy, we can go into multiple reasons. First of all, four young people? No. All right? Richard wasn't young, a member of the Fantastic Four, and Sue wasn't either. They were, and so was Ben Richard. The only real teenager in the group was Johnny Storm.
Right.
Now they're all young. They're all the same age. Number one, bogus, okay? And then Sue and Johnny were brother and sister. Well, either they're going to work that out some way or they're not anymore.
Right.
Regardless, okay? So, again, different. They go to an alternate dimension. I mean, we don't have enough free-floating radiation in this world not to zap them. To me, I get the distinct feeling that what they want to do is basically take it so far away from the comic and make it something so unique. And again, now comes the common sense logic of that. If that's what you wanted to do, then why call it Fantastic Four?
Right.
Create your own characters and make a brand new movie.
Exactly.
Instead of insulting and upsetting the fans of the comic book. That logic, I have never, ever been able to reconcile myself, buddy. And honest to God, this thing is, like I said, I started talking, this is a train wreck in the making. And, it gets done, it gets out there. If it's a hit, I will be shocked to the bones.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
And again, it's going to be that routine of where it tanks, they'll turn around and blame fandom because it tanked. No, the onus is on the filmmakers here, okay? If you want to do a Fantastic Four, then have some kind of respect for Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and all the great comic book creators who made that such a phenomenal comic book series. But when you spit in their faces and you come up with this kind of stuff, it's insanity. That's my take.
I completely agree with you. The only thing I'll note is that the Ultimate Universe version of the Fantastic Four, they were all young, which was something people had to get over when that started too. But everything else, I didn't read the Ultimate Fantastic Four, so I'm not sure if they took any other cues from that. But this just, like you said, it sounds, I don't know, it's awful. It's not the Fantastic Four that we know and love. It's just completely different, and it's like they're keeping just enough of it to use the name,
right?
But it's a completely different concept.
Yeah, well, we've seen this before. It's like let's get the license, let's get the name,
right.
and because that's going to bring people in,
right?
And to me, that's really bad filmmaking, okay? Because I mean, if you're so doggone passionate about your story and what you're doing, then why on earth do you want to brand it with somebody else's property?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's like somebody came to you, Brent, and says, we'd like you to write Batman, and then, but of course, make him totally different in your character.
Right.
And yeah, you tell him to take a flying jump. You're more than capable of writing your own character. Why do you need the Batman label,
Exactly. Yeah. It's just they're trying to get money. That's all it is. Hold on to the license and get money. That's it.
Amen. Yeah.
All right. So one more Marvel-centric news story here, and this actual article was all about it. It was like a pseudo interview with Evangeline Lilly, who's of course playing Hope. Is it Hope Van Dyne? That's her name.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing I pulled out of it was that Judy Greer, who is also in the film, revealed that she's playing Hank Pym's estranged wife, aka we're led to believe, of course, that would be Janet Van Dyne,
right?
Aka the Wasp.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
Well, I like it. I mean, when I saw the heading of this thing, and Judy Greer coming on board, I was like, okay, and it said she was Janet Van Dyne, and I'm going, oh, rats, I thought that was going to be Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah.
But then, as you're reading Evangeline Lilly's interview, she starts talking about she's the actual daughter of Pym and Van Dyne.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, okay, I'm on board. That's cool. And then she explains, and we've gotten this anyways, right, Brant? I mean, the fact that they cast Michael Douglas as Pym and Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, right? That they were going to give us both Ant-Man. Mm-hmm. So I like this fact that we're going to really come into this story and get at least some backstory of the classic Ant-Man.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the fact that they're kind of alluding, they're not coming out and saying it, but they're kind of alluding that the Wasp existed before too. And it kind of gives, if this movie does well and gets a sequel, it kind of gives us the hope that, Evangeline Lilly could become the next generation Wasp too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, she blatantly gushes about the fact that her two parents were superheroes.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, that's definitely a setup for a sequel, which I think is great.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Wasp. Wasp has always been a great character in the Marvel Universe. And having, Lily play her, even if it's the second generation Wasp, I'm there.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally on board for this. So that's the one thing that's really got me to to perk up on the Ant-Man movie because I'm still very hesitant about it. But that is a step in the right direction for me.
Well, she also explained, and we ought to, tell our listeners if they haven't found it, you'll be showing the show notes and links. Sure. But a lot of people are upset that the original, director parted ways once they started production. And she mentioned that in her interview and talked about it a little bit. It was very diplomatic about it. And explained the fact that when she read the second script, the retreatment, she got it where Marvel just wanted to make sure it was the real active part of their universe. Mm-hmm. Where apparently the original script was going to make it something totally different.
Yeah.
Much like, we bemoan the fact that DC does that with their TV shows and movies and keeping separate universes. And, of course, the success Marvel's had has been creating a cohesive universe where everybody's a part of it.
Exactly.
So, as she said, that was the argument for, the parting of the ways. This guy had a vision, and sadly, it didn't match the overall theme of what the Marvel movies have to be in this unified world. Exactly. So now we're going to get an Ant-Man that's a real part of every other, great story we've seen thus far, and obviously lead to hopefully some connection with other superheroes and cameos and whatever.
Yeah, and I like the fact that this was like the first clear answer we've gotten about why right left.
Yeah.
This kind of painted it all, and it's like, okay, well, this makes sense, and it's not like, the Marvel Studios is the bad guys. It's not Edgar Wright's the bad guy. It was just this creative difference that, it made sense for the split to happen that way. So.
Yep. Yeah. And if people don't understand that, okay, try to understand that even directors are very, very creative. And doing a film by itself takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. It really, really demands a lot of an individual. The kicker is his concept, and again, like we're saying, was very individualistic. And that's not a bad thing. But he's not one of those type of directors who can, fold easily into doing something that's part of a bigger picture.
Right.
And so again, that they wouldn't found another director who could better adapt what he was doing to the Marvel, collective.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. So hopefully it works.
The more and more I'm hearing, it's like you talked about, the more clarification we're getting,
right.
The more I'm getting excited about this film. To me, it looks like a winner, and I'm anxious for it.
Yeah. All right. So we, speaking of trailers, we talked about a few trailers earlier in this podcast.
It's been a long.
I know.
Man, long.
It really has. But they finally released the trailer to the Terminator Genesis. And they actually did a teaser trailer, and then they did a full trailer like the next day or something.
Yeah.
I didn't see the teaser trailer, just this one, but it's interesting the direction they're going for this one. Obviously we're getting Arnold Schwarzenegger back in this one, but I kind of appreciate what they're doing with this because I don't know, it seemed like there was nowhere else they could go, and like the third one was terrible, the fourth one was okay, but this. I don't know. I don't feel too bad about this one now. What about you?
Well, it's a reimagining. I think that's the thing we have to make people understand right off the bat, so that when I saw it was up online, I clicked on it and started to watch it. And I got to tell you, Brant, it didn't take me more than a couple seconds to really get into the trailer.
Right.
And because whoever this young actress is, we'll have to look up her name, but whoever is playing Sarah Connors.
It's Emilia Clarke, and she's from Game of Thrones.
All right, she is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, she totally has that part, all right? And I went, oh, my God, all right, we got a brand new kick butt Sarah Connors. That's always a good thing. Mm-hmm. I like the guy playing Reese, the soldier goes back in time. Yeah. But as you're watching it, you start to watch that beginning of the clip, and you go, oh, okay, well, what are we doing, a reboot here? Because, we're in the future, we're fighting Skynet, and now they're sending him back in time to go after this assassin. And there was a part of me, even to that point, I was going, okay, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, if they're going to reboot it and they give us decent actors and tons of action, make it a real good old Terminator movie like the originals, all right, I'm on board. Right. Well, hey, when you get to that part where Schwarzenegger shows up and she tells the new guy, the new Reese, your timeline's been altered,
Yeah.
I sat back and went, oh my God, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's just sweet. Because that's totally reimagining it. That's totally taking us on a, remember Emmett Brown from the Back to the Future movies?
Yep.
Right? Remember this little diagram on the blackboard? If you do this instead of that, you create a new, timeline.
Right.
And that's what this movie's about. We've created a new timeline. I'm like, yes,
Yep.
yes. Again, screw the continuity. You don't even have to pay attention to it one iota. You can just sit back and enjoy what looks to be a balls out action science fiction film. And man, the dude they got playing the Terminator is like, what was his name? Robert Patrick.
Oh,
he
yeah.
was Terminator 8000 or whatever. The liquid mercury gold and stuff like that. The bus flipping. Hey, if you guys haven't seen this trailer yet, get online and see it, because some of the fans were screaming and yelling the bit where Arnold jumps out of the helicopter and says, "I'll be back." Oh yeah.
Right.
Okay. This is going to surprise a lot of people, I think, Brant. I think this is going to be huge.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, and I think that's the beauty of it. Not just this movie, but the franchise in and of itself, is that there is that possibility to go back and kind of rewrite everything and just start over. And unlike some movies that might kind of outlive their their charm or whatever, because they keep trying to
Rocky 20.
Yeah, they keep trying to reinvent the wheel or something, and it's just
right.
But this, I don't know, it's so simplistic in its approach, but it's so perfect for it too, I think. So yeah.
It's right. Basically, somebody really, the writers behind this really sat down and looked at the first couple Terminator movies, all right, and basically culled the essence of why those movies were so much fun.
Right.
All right, and said, hey, we don't need all, and and you just, that's what you were talking about. The longer a series continues, the more it starts adding baggage to it.
Right.
Because you start getting that continuity problem. And then you're losing actors that are replaced by other actors. The plots end up being so unimaginable, so stretched out to keep the same thing happening over and over again, that ultimately, right, it gets old real quick.
Or the plots get repetitive. Like take Rocky, for instance.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the first four, the first two and the fourth one I think were really good. Yep. But you get past that and you get 5 and you get the Rocky Balboa, and it's like, okay, how long are we going to drag this particular concept out? How much, how many times can a big bad boxer come in and just have to, it's that kind of thing. And Terminator was starting to get to that point. It was like, what else can we do with this franchise?
But the last one was so convoluted.
Yeah.
It was really horrible. All right. I mean, it had like about 6 different writers attached to it. Yeah. And that's when you knew they were in trouble, because they couldn't make it work.
Right. So, but this seems like the really right direction to go. So hopefully this trailer is an indication of a great, fantastic movie like we're talking about. So.
Yep. And hey, speaking of reimagining franchises, perhaps the smartest people in the world to do that are the folks at Broccoli Studios and MGM with James Bond.
Yeah, that's true. Now, that's the franchise that it really keeps going and reinventing itself. Which, I mean, it's a clever way to do it. You just have this agent that's always James Bond. So.
Right. And you play off all the tropes, all the iconic things from every James Bond movie, but every time you bring in a new actor, and I love the fact that they not only keep, reinventing the series by bringing in new characters, but at the same time, too, the supporting cast sometimes will change and alter.
Yeah.
All right. So that, I mean, when Judi Dench first showed up in James Bond, it was with, what's his name? Pierce Brosnan.
Right.
And everybody was like, oh, wow, that's different. Okay. I mean, so they weren't only changing your hero, they were changing his cast. And she was awesome to the point where when they brought on Daniel Craig, people were actually upset. Well, why is she staying on? They should get a new M. But they already had a plan in place, as we've seen, from by the time they get to Skyfall and we get Ralph Fiennes, and Judi Dench goes out playing this amazing death scene in Skyfall.
Yeah.
So, again, the Brits know how to reinvent something and keep it fresh and alive. So that being the case, I mean, here we go. I mean, at dinner last night, I said, oh, by the way, I said, they're just getting ready to start filming the new Bond movie. So she turned around and looked at me. The first thing out of her mouth was, Daniel Craig's still Bond, right?
Yeah.
Because she absolutely loves him in the role. And I said, oh, yeah. I says, and it'll be interesting if this is going to be his last one or not. Because this is what, number 4 for him?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it seems like it has to be, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, well, we're talking Casino Royale. Yeah, right. Quantum of Silence.
Yeah.
And then Skyfall. So, yeah, this is number 4. And I think that's a good number for this particular series.
Yeah, and I think his particular portrayal of the character, this is going to be I think it needs to end. I think it needs to change after this one.
Yeah. Right.
Not that I haven't enjoyed him, in that role. I'm just saying, I think it's time for a change.
You never want to see Bond get old.
Exactly.
All right, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think that's what happened with not so much Connery as with Roger Moore.
Yeah.
Because I think Roger Moore probably holds the record for the most Bonds.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end, they were just becoming silly caricatures of themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and Pierce Brosnan, I think it was the perfect number for him, too. I mean, I can't remember how many he did, but it seemed like when he went out, it was the right time for him.
Exactly, same thing. And, yeah, and so that's what we're saying. And, hey, look, okay, this is James Bond number 24. Mm-hmm. It's called Spectre, which is wicked cool. It's the name of the terrorist organization that comes right out of the classic Ian Fleming novels. And hey, I'll give you a little bit of trivia you might not know, Grant, but Fleming's ended up creating Spectre shortly before communism collapsed in the Soviet Union.
Oh, wow.
Because Broccoli Sr. and he were planning on, I don't know if it was Thunderball it first appears in or whatever, but up until this point, we were in the middle of the Cold War, and we were still, using the Soviets as the bad guys. So when it looked like communism was going to collapse and the wall was going to be torn down, Broccoli sat down with Flemings and basically said, we need to come up with a different kind of a villain. Mm-hmm. And so he invented Spectre for that reason alone.
Nice.
Yeah. And, of course, from Spectre, we got Bond's arch enemy, Blofeld.
Right.
The bald-headed guy with the cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he's and they haven't announced this yet. I don't know what press releases you've seen, but the villain is, of course, Christopher Waltz,
mm-hmm.
who is just so good. Okay, and that's just perfect casting as a Bond villain. Now he's listed here as being called Oberhauser.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But most of us fans really believe he's Blofeld.
Ah, okay.
All right, somewheres in the film we're going to get his real name, and they're pulling a sneaky on us, like they did with the second Star Trek movie and Khan.
Right, exactly. That should be interesting.
And hey, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I got one thing, and I'll let you jump in. But this is my last thing. All right. Ever since I first saw the Italian actress Monica Bellucci in the second Matrix film, I have had a crush on her that just ain't going away, buddy. She is drop dead gorgeous.
She is.
And everything she's ever done. And she's the Bond girl. Oh,
that's
okay. That's it. I'll be the first guy to buy tickets for this. Hands down. Okay.
Yeah, she's a fine actress too. I've seen her in quite a few things as well. So, it's also interesting. Dave Bautista, who played Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy, is in this.
Oh.
Yeah, he's playing a character called Mr. Hinks.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
see, all right. That to me sounds like we're going to get who was another Odd Job or the Russian guy with braces in his teeth or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what every Bond film needs the classic villain, his henchman, and of course the Bond girl. So
exactly.
It's like we're saying, you keep the elements, but somehow or other you find a way to make it, fresh and and lively, and they've been doing that all along. So high hopes for Bond 24. This will be out sometimes. I think what they said, they're starting to film this month.
Yeah.
And it has a November 2016 release date.
Right. November or 2015.
Yeah, excuse me. Right.
So less than a year. So.
Yep.
There you go.
Hot dog.
Yeah, it looks filming starts Monday, actually. So
that was why the big press release and all of them were there, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And man, I was reading the locations, shots. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're filming all over the bloody world.
Yeah. Which is awesome for us. So.
It is. Oh no, I love exotic locales, and that's what you need in a spy thriller, anyways.
Exactly. So, looking forward to that one. It's gonna be like a Thanksgiving release then, around Thanksgiving time.
Yeah. Hot dog.
Interesting. All right, so moving back to TV, Preacher gets a pilot commitment from AMC, which we already knew it was optioned. So now they've ordered the pilot, so it's just the next step. Worth a mention, definitely. Really good fit, AMC, for Preacher.
Yep.
So,
I remember years ago reading a few copies, and I have to tell you that I liked the comic book. Was never a big fan, but the ones that I found and read, I enjoyed a great deal. Garth Ennis is a great writer.
Yeah.
And I like the art that accompanied it. So it's a really decent comic. But I got to tell you, I'm reading this press release, Brant, and one of the producers is Seth Rogen.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah.
Oh man,
that kills it.
Of course, I groaned like you can't believe.
Yeah.
Okay. If our listeners don't get it by now, Rogan is not one of my favorite people on the planet, and I keep reading, all right, and the guy from AMC is going, well, Seth's very passionate, and then the very next thing you get is Rogan's comment about this show. Well, don't worry, we're not going to have too many dick jokes.
No. Shoot. Somehow.
Have you seen the trailer for him and what's his name? Oh, his buddy.
Oh, Franco, James Franco.
Yeah, they get this new one where they go to North Korea to kill the Kim Jong-il or whatever, right? Right. And I cannot stomach this man, all right? So every time I see this trailer, I am just sitting there, steam's coming out of my ear, right? But Valerie's going, that looks funny. I'm like, you're going to see that by yourself, dear. You understand that, right? But they got her hooked. She's like, I think I want to go see that. I said, well, you're going to go see it with one of the grandkids because it ain't going to be me.
Yeah. I could just imagine you, just like a cartoon, Ron. Every time his face shows up on the screen, I can see you sitting there fuming, your face turning red, smoke come out of your ears, and the words on your lip, just a bare whisper, Green Hornet.
You can flip it the other way if you want. If I wasn't sitting in the movie theater with hundreds of other people all around me, I'd be doing a Shatner thing with Khan. Only
so good, yeah.
Task me,
Right. Yeah, that kind of takes the wind out of the sails of Preacher for me. Hopefully, he's a better director than he is an actor.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean,
or writer, whatever he's doing. Yeah.
Well, he's producing it.
He's
producing it with two other people. He owns a production company, and the press release also went on to say he will be directing 1 or 2 episodes. That could be interesting. I mean, hey, look,
I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. Always. Okay. And like I said, I like the comic book, and apparently, he said it was one of his favorite comic books. So maybe he'll do to this what he couldn't do to the Green Hornet.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
All right. So speaking of AMC, they have cast the male lead for the Walking Dead spinoff, and I know that has no interest to you whatsoever. But
no. Again, I know this actor because he's a very legitimate. His name is Cliff Curtis.
Right.
He's been around for a long time. He's paid his dues. He's a really gifted actor. I mean, God, I've lost count of how many TV shows I've seen him in, playing a bad guy, a good guy, whatever. This is a solid actor, and I'm really happy to see him get his own series. Do you know what the spinoff is actually called?
No, I don't think they've actually given it an official name yet. All I know is that what we've talked about on the show, that it has a completely different cast in a different part of I guess somewhere else in the United States that's not connected to where the main cast
Walking
is.
Dead
Yeah.
events take place.
Right.
Right. That's
So,
what the press release said. It's in the same exact world, the same exact setup,
right.
only in a different part of the world. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it may even be like towards the beginning of the outbreak as opposed to picking up right now. So I'm not sure. There's very scarce details. They released like the casting information, who they were looking for.
Right.
It was like these two families. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, he's a good actor, okay?
Yeah.
And for people who like Walking Dead, they should really be celebrating right now because, again, like I said, they got somebody who's very, very good, and that bodes well for the show.
Yeah.
And Kirk is going to be the showrunner on top of that, so
right. Yeah.
He'll maintain that vision.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan, so I can't wait for this to come out.
Yeah, it's as we will talk about very shortly. All right, if you like something, then obviously you just want more of it. It's common sense.
Right, exactly. All right, so it's official. We have the cast of DC Comics Suicide Squad movie, and man, Ron, this was the cast that they had talked about that they wanted for the film, and I remember us talking about it on the show, how we were like, okay, well that's a very ambitious cast, don't know how it's going to work, but they went out and did it. They got interesting.
They got everybody they wanted, which is great.
Yeah.
But then they went out and got the Joker.
Yeah.
And everybody I know online, when this news broke this week, was like, what? What the hell is the Joker doing there? And it stops being the Suicide Squad for me, okay? Because obviously everything's going to be focused on him because he is the most popular of the characters to the general public. Yeah. And that's what I told a friend of mine. Obviously, DC or Warner Brothers, when they started putting it together, it had to be some guy, some suit with a tie, looking at the cast, Deadshot, Harlequin, Boomerang, Rick Flag, Enchantress, obviously Wallow will be there, and went, I don't recognize any of these names. Why don't you put somebody in there they will recognize? That's what happened.
Quite possibly. I agree, and I think it was also to give birth to Harley. I don't know. There's got to be. I don't know why they felt like they needed that connection in there, but I think they're definitely going to play off of that.
Right, and he's gonna end up getting the spotlight. I mean, had they not done it, had they had the courage to stick with the comic, interpretations and what the comics have given us, then Harley would have gotten the chance to shine a whole lot better.
Yeah, I agree.
Now she becomes second fiddle immediately.
Yeah. Now, there is a chance, a very small chance, given, the popularity of Jared Leto, but there's a chance that they could just do like a really small part for the Joker and kind of lead way for him to go into the next Batman film or something. And I would be fine with that if it was just like a very small cameo kind of appearance.
So would I.
Yeah.
So would I. Again, and that's the thing I want to point out here too. I don't want people to get me wrong. I think Jared Leto could do the Joker standing on one hand.
Yeah.
All right. I think he's going to be a really great Joker. Mm-hmm. But like you, that's something I want to see in the Batman films.
Exactly.
All right. So if he's going to be in Suicide Squad, please, I'm with you, Brent, make it a cameo, okay? And because you got Tom Hardy, you got Will Smith. Right. You got class actors here. All right. Just that's what I'm worried about. He's going to be a distraction. Mm-hmm. And it is the Suicide Squad. It's not the Joker movie, so.
Right.
We shall see.
Yeah. So what do you think about Will Smith as Deadshot?
That surprised me, like everybody else. But again, that's not a real stretch for me. I think Smith's a good actor, and up until now, he's played pretty much straight arrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Most of his roles have been all really, good guys.
Right.
Even if they're hard edge, it doesn't matter. They're still the hero type. So that was a major surprise of the entire cast, in that it offers him a challenge, and if he can play, a more selfish, crueler, harder character,
Yeah.
it could be a big boost to his own career.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. I think Will Smith is a fine actor. I mean anybody that wants to challenge that, go see Ali or Pursuit of Happiness, and you can see the guy's range.
Right, exactly. Those are the two films I was thinking about as well.
Yeah, I mean he's got tremendous range and he's got tremendous talent. It's just I don't know. It's like you said, it's going to be a challenge for him to channel that particular personality.
What I hope, what I'm praying for here, Brand, is that they don't turn around and make him more flippant.
Yeah.
To Will Smith's character,
right,
as a person, his personality. Right.
That's what I was afraid of too, because it's going to be over the top if he does.
Right. And that's not the character. All right. Deadshot is a professional assassin.
Yeah.
That's who he is. He never cracks jokes. All right. He's about killing people, and like I said, very hard edge. It's going to be a really different role for Smith. I'm just hoping that the writers give him the chance to show us he can do that.
Yeah. Now the rest of the cast, I'm totally fine with.
Oh yeah, like I said, and Tom. Hey, look, it's not on this part of our show or agenda this week, but Tom Hardy's about to blow cinema fans out of the water with the new Road Warrior movie. All right, that's going to be coming up way before this thing. All right.
Yeah.
So I mean, after doing Bane, now he takes on a classic, Mel Gibson role.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the trailers to Road Warrior, he looks awesome in the part. So
very cool.
Yeah, his star is rising big time.
Yeah. All right. So now we get the first look at Retro Girl, which is from this Brian Michael Bendis's Powers that's coming to. That's the Xbox exclusive thing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not a fan of the comic, but like we talked about when we saw the little trailer, it was I don't know. I can't remember what your reaction was to that trailer.
Well, I mean, they changed it a lot.
Yeah, they did.
Right from the comic, because I was a big fan of the comic and bought the first series, I think, for a year or so, and really enjoyed the comic a lot. But the casting choices they made. Obviously weren't the ones I would have picked.
Right. Wasn't it like over the top? That's what our reaction was to it.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
they really stretched everything crazy.
Yeah.
They get this South African guy playing the lead detective, and he's a short, small guy, whereas the main character looked like Clint Walker from Cheyenne. Right? He was a big bruiser.
Right.
And then they've given us an African American girl to play, his partner and all this. And it was a real reimagining of the comic, which surprised me because Bendis apparently has a lot of what's the word I want to use, influence in the series himself, and he's happy with it. So okay, fine. Now when I saw the press release this morning, it took me a second, it said like Retro Girl reveal for Powers, and I'm like, okay, where does she come in? And then I went, oh my God! And hey, look, spoiler alert for people who haven't read the comic, okay? Walk away from the podcast here for a minute. But Retro Girl is one of the first murder victims in the comic.
That was kind of the whole impetus, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. That's why the concept, the conceit of Powers is a former superhero who's lost his powers, is now a detective. He and his partner find somebody's killing superheroes.
Yeah.
And so they investigate. And the first superhero that dies in the comic series is Retro Girl. So they go out and get Michelle Forbes to play her. And I'm going like, oh boy, she's going to be in like one episode, whatever.
Right. Yeah, because if I remember correctly, like, wasn't the arc called Who Killed Retro Girl?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, that's funny. So, but it's a cool little outfit, I guess. Not going to see much of it, but it's definitely different from the comic as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Again, same thing. It's again, like I said, it's not my property. It's Bendis' property. Yeah. If he's happy with it, then so much power. It's going to be intriguing to see how Xbox does with this.
Mm-hmm, right.
And they're getting into this multimedia playing field that everybody's getting into these days.
Right.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. And speaking of interesting, let's talk about some really cool TV shows.
Ah,
We got the mid-season finale promos for Arrow and Flash, which both aired this coming Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively. And some very interesting notes these shows are going off on to leave us for the winter. On Flash, we get the Reverse Flash finally showing up, and we got it teased that they are going to be going head-to-head.
amen.
Yeah, that's something I think we've all been kind of looking forward to. I'm surprised it's happening so soon.
Well,
Honestly.
it's one of those kind of things where this past week, and man, we're gonna be just rapping about this constantly as we talk about these two shows. The crossover episodes this past week were through the roof.
Yeah, they were
Huge. All right, and I think it's easy to say that the studio execs and the writers and producers, when they finally got it all filmed, realized up front, okay, that they had something that big.
Yeah.
Okay? So much so that it's like surfing. If you're cresting a wave, then keep it going.
Right.
So it wouldn't surprise me, Brant, if as soon as maybe 2 weeks ago, they had another show in the mix for the season, for the mid-season finale or whatever. Yeah. But because of how successful and how much publicity this crossover week happened, they realized they had to up their games.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm watching, Flash Tuesday night, and I went crazy. I absolutely nuts. I'm cheering and yelling and everything else. And then we get the trailer, like you said, with Reverse Flash. Mm-hmm. That, to me, was the icing on the cake.
Yeah, exactly.
I went, oh, yeah. So then you turn around and you watch Arrow, and they did the exact same thing.
Right.
Yeah,
with Arrow, we'll just go ahead and say that in the promo for that mid-season finale, we get Arrow versus Ra's al Ghul.
Oh, just like about 2 seconds of them facing off, and I went, yes. And so I got to ask you. I mean, the story plot on Arrow this year has been who killed Sarah.
Right.
You think it was Ra's?
It's quite possible because he definitely didn't like his daughter being with her, because she was an outsider.
Right.
So, I could definitely see that. I don't know who else it would be. We know Merlin was away with Thea.
Yep.
And we know it wasn't the Komodo guy because he got put in prison. He was like, I didn't do it. So, he's done. His little short story. I don't know who else it would be. I can't think of any other seminal
villain,
villain that uses bow and arrows. Yeah.
Right. Because they brought in Cupid, and that was a what do you call it? A red herring.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. All right, because they all wanted us to believe it was, and in the end we realized it couldn't have been. No way, no how. So, yeah, and now I'm starting to wonder if Ra's isn't the actual killer.
Yeah.
Which is really going to set him and Ollie against each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Big time.
Either way, it's just fantastic. Next week is going to be an amazing week for comic television for us.
Oh, my God, yeah. It's insane. The crossover in both nights was exceptional. I saw a fan post while I was reading in the promo, the press release and everything on Aided Cool and other sites, but somebody brought up very wisely the fact that in both sets of writer teams coming together, okay, to work the other teams into each other's stories now.
Yeah.
All right. I think they got it even more personal on the differences between the two shows that we've always known, the fans have always gotten and appreciated. But the analogy that one of the reporters made was that suddenly you begin to see that Flash and Arrow are almost the TV versions of DC's Superman and Batman.
Yeah.
Light and dark.
Very true.
Superman's the big blue Boy Scout. Batman's the angst-ridden, deep, dark knight. And what do you get? We get a happy-go-lucky Flash. And again, the angst-driven, vengeful Oliver Queen.
Yeah.
The light and dark. And boy, didn't they play off that perfectly.
Oh, they did. It was fantastic. The way it starts in Flash with Arrow coming to Central City, and that whole thing where, he's wanting to stay on his own and not get Barry's help and all this stuff. And then when Barry comes over to Starling City, it's just, there was that huge altercation between them that kind of developed into this really good moment between the two of them as they started to see each other's,
strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, they reflect each other. They do. They reflect each other a great deal.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Barry's becoming that sounding board for Ollie.
Yeah.
All right, because Ollie, you always get the sense with Ollie that he's this person by himself. And there was that one scene when he was talking to Barry about, I don't get close to people because I lose them.
Yeah.
All right? Whereas, Barry's now becoming that fellow superhero, okay?
Right.
That he can talk to, that he can trust, which all led up to that absolutely great finale scene.
Yes.
Right? My wife was like going, what is that? Because they just showed you the case.
Yeah.
And the dummy in it.
Uh-huh.
And of course, Barry, we all got it. And it's just it's for his costume.
Yeah.
And she went, and then she got it because they have one for Arrow and they have one for Arsenal.
Right.
And I went, oh yeah. And of course, Barry's like, okay, that's wicked cool.
Yeah.
And look, if anybody out there doesn't think we're not going to see more of this,
mm-hmm.
you're crazy. I mean, again, one of the things we're talking about in these agendas is the fact that after Tuesday night, the first media news, coming out of Hollywood was that the Flash's ratings had gone through the roof.
Yeah, and Arrow even hit an new all-time high. Yeah.
Right, it's the second highest since its premiere 3 years ago.
That's crazy.
So I'm sure the folks at Warner's have finally figured it out that this is what we want.
Yeah. And I love how they kept calling it the Arrow Cave, and he was like, it's not the Arrow Cave. We don't call it that. And I didn't put this in the agenda, but I don't know if you saw this. The Supergirl series that's in the works. They cast, or they're very interested in Claire Holt from the originals as Supergirl. She's an Australian actress, and she's really big on that show, and she looks the part, definitely. But the interesting thing about it is that they said, because it's going to be a CBS show, CW is a CBS network, they said it is possible that they could have crossovers between the three shows.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That would be phenomenal.
It would be.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Well, hey, look, it's just... Again, the producers have talked about that this year when The Flash, took off like a rocket and became such a huge hit.
Right.
A lot of the producers got online from both shows talking about the fact that don't be surprised to start seeing more superheroes show up as cameos.
Yeah.
And we're getting a lot of that on more on Flash than ever on Arrow. But the thing I loved about the crossover was we got Boomerang.
Right.
As the chief villain in the Arrow crossover.
Yeah.
And extremely well played by that Australian actor,
mm-hmm.
and a much more dangerous and lethal Boomerang than we've ever seen before.
Yeah, I hope the movie version in Suicide Squad can live up to that, because that was a fantastic, that was an amazing portrayal of that character. I loved it.
Yeah, he was scary.
Yeah, he was.
He broke into Argus and took down half of them before Arrow and Arsenal showed up to save their butts.
Yeah, and he was awesome with those boomerangs. I love those boomerangs.
Yeah,
it's just
do, exactly.
Totally lethal. Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, it's and of course I love the fact that what's his name? Vibe from Arrow. What's his name on the show?
Cisco.
Cisco. Oh, he went nuts in the Arrow cave. Oh, I can fix this. I can fix that.
Right.
And what, didn't he? They fixed, they gave Arrow a new suit.
Yeah, new suit. And, he said he was working on all kinds of other stuff, too.
Yeah,
so
just
right.
There we go.
It's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, I gotta say this. Diggle's expression and his reaction when he first saw the Flash. This big, strong military man was just like, jaw dropping and just total.
Yeah, that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. All right. He's looking at Ollie like, this don't bother you?
Yeah. He was like, he's fast. He's like, he's really fast. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was classic.
Oh, I mean, they're hitting all the right beats.
Yeah,
I mean,
they are.
Even the ending when the whole idea with the time bombs and how Flash solved that, that's right out of the comic books.
Yeah, that was brilliant. I love it. And speaking of the comic books, I should mention this because somebody wrote an article saying why the Flash TV fans should be reading the digital comics. I don't read them, but I have heard good things about them. DC is putting out it's Flash Season 0 and Arrow Season 2.5, and they're kind of in between stories that take place in between the episodes and the seasons. And there's some interesting stuff in there if you want to expand your experience.
Right.
So.
Right. I went and checked out, a couple of pages because of the press release. And yeah, that's one or two little teasers. Nothing huge.
Right. Yeah.
But there are little teasers. All right. I mean, like Professor what's his name, Wells.
Right.
And who is he really? Okay, that's one of the overriding mysteries of season 1 Flash. So, and again, another reason why I'm really excited to see Reverse Flash, because we still really don't know who he is in this series. So.
Yeah, and speaking of minor spoiler for anybody that has not seen these shows yet, but at the end of Flash, we got to see a character that has been talked about and teased since pretty much the beginning of the show, which was Firestorm. Pop up.
Ronnie Raymond.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Oh yes.
And
that was a beautiful tease.
It was. And
that had nothing to do with the actual story. They just dropped and went into that scene.
Right.
He get up and he's on fire.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It was really, that was done so well. So I can't wait to see that what that particular subplot entails. So.
Oh yeah, well, and of course it's going to have a lot of reverberations for the cast because what's her face is his fiance.
Yeah, exactly.
And she thinks he's dead, so that's going to be really interesting.
Yep. But that's all the news we had. So we went for a while though, so that was a good amount of news.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there's going to be more coming.
Keep it coming. We didn't, and we didn't even talk about it, but we should save it. I think for next week.
Okay.
Which is this past week's Agent of Shields.
Oh yeah.
All right.
True.
Which left on its own cliffhanger for their season finale coming up next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, the only thing I'm going to give away is Sky and Daddy get together finally.
Yep. That show has been so good this season.
Oh man. It's driving you up a wall. It really is.
Yeah. And even though I was sad to see what happened to a certain character in that show.
Yeah, no spoilers here.
Yeah, exactly. But it was, wow, okay. They're going all out with this, so I'm very excited.
Yeah. No guarantees everybody's going to make it out alive.
Yeah. And I just jumped over to a film news website that I visit a lot just to see if there was any other thing I wanted to mention. And just a small little mention that Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice has wrapped filming, so that one is in the can now, going into post.
Wow,
everybody out there. So
okay,
interesting. All right, but yeah, we'll save all the other stuff for next week. I did get a message, by the way, as we were recording from Gordon, that his voice is clearing up and he should be good for next week.
Yes, excellent, and hopefully John will be back on his feet as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And speaking,
I tell you what, why don't you go ahead and read Gordon's report?
Okay.
I'm going to take an airship break, and you go ahead and do that, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right,
so Gordon, obviously not with us. He did send a report in from Chicago TARDIS, and I'll read it. Here we go. Had a great time at Chicago TARDIS, so much that I literally cannot say enough. I mean that. I have laryngitis. You may not notice any difference since other hosts do the talking. Some way too much talking. But I'm glad to say that the charity auction raised over $2,700 for the Northern Illinois Food Bank, which provides services to residents of DuPage County. Our live auction raised over $1,600, and our silent auction raised about $1,100. We collected various cans of food, and we've had enough interest that we may do this again next year. One key highlight, Matt Urban, a visual effects producer during the classic run of the show, donated an actual prop, a communicator from 1983's Warriors of the Deep. That was the big hit of the auction, and I would like to thank him again for his generosity. Thanks to everyone who participated, and if you would like to donate, please head to it's bit.ly/Chai TARDIS auction, and I'll have that in the show notes, and make a donation. Be sure to mention Chicago TARDIS 2014 in the comments. Thanks again, and as always, bacon! Gordon. So that was Gordon's report on Chicago TARDIS, and thanks for sending that in, Gordon, giving us an update on that as Ron comes back to the podcast. Perfect timing, too. That was perfect timing. I just finished.
Tell me we don't have things down pat here.
I'm telling you.
Zone 4 headquarters. Yep. All right.
So, with that, you go ahead and tell us what you have coming out and going on, Ron.
Okay, sure. Ergo that I wasn't on the show last week, I do want to mention a couple things real quick that are really important to yours truly. And that was 2 weeks ago, we at Airship 27 released our 100th title. It was Young Nemo and the Black Knights by writer Michael Vance. And it tells the adventures of the famous Jules Verne's character before he becomes the Captain Nemo we meet in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And like I said, Airship 27 has been around for just a little under 10 years. 100 titles, not bad for two guys with a dream. Boy,
yeah,
let me tell you.
That's pretty awesome, Ron.
Yeah, well, thanks. And so, hey, not about the rest of our laurels here. This past week, we released number 101. And it's a book called Occult Detectives. And what it does is 4 stories of 4 occult detectives. 3 of them actually new characters that are written by today's writers. One is an Native American shaman named Lone Crow, as created by his writer Joel Jenkins. Then we had a Child Saint Cyprian, the Royal Occultist story by his creator Joshua Reynolds. Jim Beard out of New York writes a character from the Edwardian days of England called Sergeant Janus, the Spirit Breaker. He has a story there. So when we were assembling occult detectives, our anthologies always have 4 different stories. And here we had these 3, right off the bat, with 1 slot empty. So I opted to jump in and have some fun with this myself, and I wrote a story featuring a 1930s occult detective from the pulps called Ravenwood, Stepson of Mystery, and had a ball. That is out. Both that and Young Nemo are both out at Amazon and available on Kindle. And for those of you who have followed my work in the past, both in pulps and comics, one of the coolest things I've ever had fun doing was a graphic novel called Daughter of Dracula with my buddy Rob Davis. Well, for those of you who've had the fun of reading that, if you've ever wondered what happened to some of those characters after the graphic novel, you might want to pick up Occult Detectives, because my story of Ravenwood in that volume has bits and elements of a sequel to Daughter of Dracula. So
nice.
Put that out there. Yeah.
Very cool tease there.
As I put in the press release, it's a story I've been waiting almost 10 years to write.
Yeah.
So there you go. And the final thing I want to bring up on the comic book side, most assuredly, is that, again, those fans of ours who follow our Mr. Jigsaw, Man of 1,000 Parts comic book series from Redbud Studios, as written by yours truly and illustrated by Gary Cotto, know that every time we do 3 issues, we then go ahead and collect them in what we call the Adventures of Mr. Jigsaw. And the Fort collection just came out this past week. It's available at Amazon. It features regular issues number 10, 11, and 12, plus 5 bonus pinups from various artists doing their interpretations of Mr. Jigsaw. So all three of those that I've been happily and busily working on are available at Amazon. And aside from that, I'm still writing Black Bat for Moonstone. Got a lot of stuff going on there. Trying to think, doing that for Moonstone. The Simon Price story that we talked about, Brant, that appeared in Comic Related several years ago. That Bill Gladman and I had written 3 issues. Issue 3 is now in production, my friend. We've got an artist from Colorado Springs named Barry McLean who is penciling it, and another artist named Paul Frey who's doing the inking. Rob Davis is going to do the lettering. And once it gets out, once it's finished, we're going to release Price for the Asking, volume number 3 from Redbud Studios. And then hopefully somewhere down the line, we're going to do a collection of all 3 issues together.
Awesome. Very cool.
That's what Ron's got going, pal.
Awesome. Okay, for me, just a few updates, actually. I did wrap Open Tree number 2, Fluke of Love. I'm doing some corrections, stuff like that for Assailant Comics, so hopefully that'll be out soon. Let's see, the Singularity Rise of the Posthumans steampunk superhero prose anthology that I'm a part of. I just got some news the other day that, and I don't know how much I can say about the reasons behind this, but there was a slight complication, and there's going to be a slight delay on it. I don't have any word for the official publication date now. It was supposed to be Christmas time, so I'm assuming it's going to be at least delayed a month or so. Kind of sad about that, but things happen. But I will definitely keep everybody apprised to what happens with that. My story, as far as I know, is still going to be in it. So, but yeah, so I'll give you an update once I have more information about that. And Lisa Moore and I started a new YouTube channel this week. Went live yesterday. It's called Where's My Tail? And it's it's a general blogging kind of unboxing haul video kind of thing. We wanted a channel where we could toss random stuff that doesn't fit into any of the other YouTube channels that we're affiliated with. So if you want to just go have fun with us, people tell us that we have a really good chemistry. So if you want to just have fun watching some goofy random stuff, go check us out on YouTube. And I'll have a link to all that in the show notes below. We also have a Facebook page and a Google Plus page, so you can find us there as well. And that's about it. Just working. Been working
as we always do.
Yeah.
Someday we may even see the Zone 4 comic book.
I sure hope so. But speaking of Zone 4, though, we should mention that the 300th episode is just now 2 weeks away.
Oh, yeah. Hey, yeah. And, of course, Chris Pratt and Alex Ross are going to be joining us. And,
Yeah.
Oh, boy, are we swimming over our heads with this one.
May just be pictures of them in the show notes, but they'll be there. But no, we're still talking. We're keeping it under wraps what we're going to be doing for the episode.
It's episode 300, so you can expect something, believe me, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
We may not know exactly what you can expect, but you can expect something, all right? And hey, I mean, we're going to be like, a week away from Christmas for that show?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the week. I think Christmas is like a Wednesday or Thursday, so
yeah.
It'll be just a few days before Christmas when that goes live. So.
Oh, we got to get Santa Claus.
Yeah, well, there you go.
See.
But it'll be fun.
Oh, I'm putting in a call to the North Pole right now.
All right, cool.
There we go.
But we can promise it'll be fun.
Yes.
So
That's it.
Look forward to that. So, Ron, you want to read us out?
Sure enough, Brad.
All right.
Hey, we'd like to thank the official bands of Zone 4, the Ray Wall Band and Society's Plague that you hear on the show each and every week. We'd also like to thank our missing co-hosts who are on the sick plane, hooky, drinking too much alcohol, or refused to be on the show because we weren't talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and chose film and TV instead. Oh. See, Brant writes these people. I just read them, all right? Let's get this straight. And sincerely, John and Gordon, we missed you guys. Get well, okay? All right. Hey, we're also very proud members of the Comic Related Podcast Network. You can find us on Comic Related each and every week, and as well as Comic Frontline, Comic Podcast, Stitcher, and iTunes. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for us, send those to zone4@comicrelated.com. And hey, sincere about that. The 300 show is something really unique. There are very few podcasts that ever live that long.
Yeah.
So if you've got an idea, something you'd like us to maybe, try out for that show, still a couple of weeks. So send those suggestions, please.
Yes.
And as always, we sincerely thank you for listening. It's always fun having you here with us. You are now leaving Zone 4.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, all.
On the streets of New York City, he steps out to make a stand. He's Spider-Man.
This has been a Gonzo Goose production.